Oops. Let me just play a little. What's up, everybody? Crypto Coffee or Matt here, as you may already know, and we got Jesse from Liquid Loans. You've seen him a while back on my channel. Big news in the Liquid Loans world. Their sacrifice phase went live, I think, yesterday. So I just wanted to have him on to talk about the products. I assume there will be a lot of controversy just due to the HEX price being down and a lot of people wanting to point fingers at the new boogeyman. But you know, we've been talking about this project for a while. It's always been on the radar, and this was always something coming up. So I guess, yeah, you want to talk about how the sacrifice is done so far, you know, maybe like why you decided to do it right now and some of the dynamics that you see going into it.
Yeah. So first off, people need to understand what is it, why are we doing this? And if you look around what's going on in the world right now, I've seen some Twitter messages from Kraken, you know, saying that if the Canadian authorities request that they block people's accounts or shut down people's accounts, they will have to comply. The same holds true to centralized stable coins that are owned by institutions that are subject to regulation. So places like Circle, places like Tether, places like TrueUSD. Centralization in crypto is not why crypto was invented. But there is an interesting barrier where there has to be a way to fiat on and off ramp, right? You're always going to have, whenever you're interacting with fiat dollars, you have to have these institutions. It's just how it is, right? You've got, you know, the anti-money laundering, anti-terrorist laws and stuff that say you have to KYC. But that doesn't mean you need to keep your stuff in centralized crypto. Keep your stuff in centralized exchanges, because there is inherent risk where there is counterparty. If they fail or if they're requested to do certain things by certain entities like governments, that's completely out of your control. And what crypto is designed for is for you to have complete control of your assets, right? So what Liquid Loans does is it takes it takes all the counterparty risk out of the equation, and it is a stablecoin factory that's no longer backed by fiat. There's no central institution that can control it or stop it. It runs on the blockchain. It's decentralized. Anybody can build a front end. You can have hundreds of front ends all over the world by different people who have coded a front end for it, and it becomes completely unstoppable. And you control your keys. You control your coins. It's a very beautiful thing.
I mean, it really is in line with the ethos of crypto. And I've said this in previous videos, but yeah, no admin keys, governance free, everything that we like about crypto is in Liquid Loans. And I've seen it, and it's forked from, again, one of the very few DeFi products in Ethereum called Liquidity, which actually hasn't been hacked and isn't really yielding a lot of liquidation events, even during this massive drawdown in Ethereum. You know, they came close to the total collateralization ratio. They came down to like 175%, I think, but they never went into recovery mode. They never got below 150%.
Which is all the way down at the 110% mark. Because most people know that, listen.
Sorry, everything I'm seeing is giving me confidence.
Yeah, most people know safe collateral levels. You're in complete control of your own destiny when it comes to how much collateral am I going to put in, and you know what risk. Where do I want to put my risk tolerance at?
Yeah, I think
most people choose the safest course of action.
Yeah, I think I had lower standards in people and how they were going to use this. And it turns out, you know, if you're intelligent enough to understand this system, you're probably intelligent enough to not use it for trading, or you could choose to use it as like a leverage play, right? Because you still get to keep your stable coin, and you could, but that's very advanced. And I don't think it's going to attract a lot of noobs to basically just take out loans with money they don't have and be really dumb with it. I'm definitely advising that nobody does that, right? Over collateralize the crap out of your loan. And then you don't have to worry about somebody coming in, changing the rules, getting hacked. There's no central party, you know, you're just making a loan with yourself. And, you know, as long as the pulse chart goes up and to the right, you know, and you're 1000x collateralized, you can survive a 90% dip. And if you see dips heading maybe even more than 90, worst case scenario, just add more collateral or pay back some of the loan. Like, you can adjust accordingly if you really start to see this, apocalypse scenario. But 90% dips, they do happen in crypto, which is why I think you're waiting a couple months, like a month or two after, to launch the product. So I always thought that was a good idea.
Right.
And the sacrifice phase is live now. Shameless referral link plug in the description below. Get 5% bonus. They only accept stable coins, guys. They only accept stable coins. And so we've been hearing a lot of some crying about the price, right? Because people have been basically identified as selling HEX directly for stable coins. Luckily, I didn't have to do that. I've already had stable coins in my holdings for a while now. But you can actually see the chain analysis of a couple of bigger, $1 million sells that went into liquid loans, which means
it's interesting you say that. I want to touch on that for a second.
Sure.
So typically what you see with sacrifices or investments or any crypto for that matter, 90% of the big wallets are heavily diversified in a lot of different things. So like look at the top wallets in our sacrifice, for example, poke around. You'll see some of those guys have some HEX. They have lots of stable coins. They have ETH. They have SHIB. They have all sorts of different stuff, right? So we're certainly not encouraging anybody to sell what they like, right? If you like HEX, hold on to your HEX. If you like your SHIB, hold on to your SHIB, right? It's your choice what you do with your own assets. Anything else other than your choice would be, centralization or control. And the whole purpose of crypto is to let you make your own choices with your own finances.
Yeah. This is what it's letting you do. It's unlocking another way to potentially never have to sell, right? As long as you're comfortable taking out, 10% worth of your collateral and 1,000% collateralization rate or whatever's comfortable for you. There's no standard, right? It's all very flexible and you can pay it back. To me, I'm looking at liquid loans personally as just a very safe way to have a new income stream. I'm just going to do, if we're talking strategy wise, I'm probably going to just do the basic strategy. I'm going to take my loan, park it in the stability pool, take my loan token, go park that in the loan staking platform or area, and then just accrue USDL and PLS, right? This is really just a way for me to make more stablecoin and Pulse, with what I perceive to be minimal risk, right? And then, there's other good things about the sacrifice phase as well, which might prevent us from having a chart that looks like liquidity. Not that the price of liquidity matters when the functionality is for revenue split, sharing on the platform, but we might actually have a much better price chart because we're not selling out 33% to VCs that are going to dump on your head. And the founders are vested for a vesting period. And you yourself can choose to vest as well for a vesting period.
Right. That's right.
Which means your loan tokens don't become unlocked until, however long you set it to be. You can get them right away, or you can delay your gratification in loan and you can just, ride the pump if there is one, in the future.
Right. Yeah. People really take this to heart, everyone. Like the whole reason we're in crypto, why crypto exists at least, is for you to have control. And what liquid loans is just a big community bank where you can draw out a loan against yourself. You don't have to go off to a bank and get a loan and then they charge you fees and interest. Instead, it's all community driven. So you can take out a loan against your own stuff and not have to sell your own stuff. On the other side of that equation, if you want to be a fee collector, you want to become the bank, you become the fee collector and by staking the loan token. And what is that economic energy going to allow us to do as a community? Imagine earning USDL every time somebody takes a loan. So the USDL is just flowing into your account as a staker of the loan token. What we imagine people are going to be doing that with that is they're going to be buying HEX daily or even multiple times a day with that. They're going to be buying more Pulse with that, or they're just going to be adding to their collateral position. Maybe some people will use that as a form of income and quit their jobs, right? But other people don't need to do that. Some people are already in those positions. Some people like their jobs or whatever. But the point is we've become a community bank, and it's an endless loop of money that you can take and put back into the things you want and pump the rest of the community. It keeps all the money inside of our community instead of giving money to all these centralized parties, which is how the rest of the cryptos work.
All right. I think it's a huge net positive for the entire ecosystem. I mean, this is, again, like I keep calling PulseChain like the great filter for Ethereum, where like all the garbage gets filtered out. And yeah, people are going to launch scams and all that, but we basically have projects with a track record now, and we can say, oh, this one worked really well, this one did shit performance, and let's just take a Liquidity, for example, and let's fork it and let's make it tweak it a tiny bit, maybe add a sacrifice phase. But other than that, I don't know what other changes are there to the Liquidity platform or protocol other than the launch.
Yeah, so the launch mechanism is different, right? But the underlying code is the same, except for the price calls, right? Instead of calling for prices from ETH, paired to calling for ETH prices, we got to call for Pulse prices,
the oracles, right?
Yeah, so oracles, but also time weighted averages, right? So you grab those from PulseX,
right?
And central stable coins are backed by fiat. This is not backed by fiat. This is backed by Pulse itself. It's backed by $1 worth of Pulse, right? So you got to figure out what does $1 get you in Pulse. So you have to be able to pull a price call for Pulse, which will happen. Nobody trades things off of ratios forever, right? Pulse will form a price. And at that point, we'll be able to point, our price call lines of code right to those, time weight average them, maybe add in some oracles, and then we can have have this working. Okay. So, but what does that do? Why do you want to do that off of the underlying collateral Pulse instead of fiat? Well, we're not centralized, right? We don't want a system that there's money transfer licenses and regulations, and we have to have banking charters and all sorts of stuff, and then hold a bunch of fiat taxpayer dollars, and then off of that mint a stable coin, because that subjects everybody who holds that stable coin to all the risks of the government who controls that fiat. Okay, so instead, you simply back it off of the underlying collateral of the blockchain coin, which is Pulse. And you eliminate all of that counterparty risk, all of it. And it's just a much safer system.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if Liquidity hasn't been hacked after almost 2 years, I don't know what can go wrong other than, I keep forgetting the ratio, basically the recovery mode ratio, total collateral, the loan to, what's the word for it? There's like an acronym for it. The total loan to mint ratio. It's basically like how damn it. Now I got to go look it up. It's like the thing that if it falls below 150%, it goes into recovery mode.
Oh, yeah. Recovery mode?
Yeah. Well, what is the ratio called?
Yeah. So the average, okay. So the system is always forcing people to be in safer and safer and safer collateral levels. And the number that it's looking to shove everybody above for safety, the health of the ecosystem, is 150%.
Right.
What you'll tend to see is most people will be collateralized at 250% or above. Now, for it to fall where the average of all of the users falls under 150, some significant things would have to happen. Pulse would have to dump severely, who knows, 30%, 40% or something, without people taking action during that dump.
Right.
Now, if it does get to that point, however, the system has other things that kick in place to protect itself and shove everybody up to safer collateralization levels. It prevents people from being able to lower their collateral health. People can take loans. The fees go to zero, right? So you can get extra collateral in the door and raise the overall collateral health of the entire ecosystem. Lots of things happen. Every single, I need to hammer this point home too. Every single stablecoin that's ever minted is fully backed and redeemable for $1 worth of Pulse. Now, it's typically better to take them and go swap your stablecoins. If you have stablecoins and you're not putting them in like a stability pool or something, and you're whole point is to get a stable coin so you can go spend it or buy something else with it like HEX. Do what you already do with crypto. Take it to PulseX and just go swap it. You'll get a pretty good rate there, right? What's the fee? What's the rate, to swap on PulseX?
0.29, right?
0.29, right?
Yeah.
But you'll also have some slippage. So depending on the size of your bag or whatever, right, you could have some slippage. Now, if Pulse drops severely in price, or if there's some sort of whale that comes along and he's got a bunch of USDL and he dumps some USDL for Pulse, what you'll see is the stablecoin will lose peg. It'll come off of $1 and it'll come down to like 98 cents or 97 cents or something like that. This happens to all stablecoins. This is not unusual.
Yeah.
But the mechanism that brings it back to $1 very quickly is what's very important with stablecoins. And with liquid loans, when the price comes off that peg, because somebody dumps some, right, and changed the ratios, or because just the overall market's dumped, so the value of stablecoins dropped, right? People can buy that cheaper USDL, and it's directly redeemable back inside the protocol for $1's worth of Pulse. So there's an instant ability for people to buy 97 cent USDL, turn around 2 seconds later and get $1's worth of Pulse for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody leaves that opportunity on the table. So it happens very, very quickly. There's even people that will likely build bots to even do some of that function.
Yep.
But that's what's important. Where's that arbitrage opportunity and how fast can you bring it back to $1? With liquid loans, it's pretty much instant. Where does that $1's worth of Pulse come from? That's important too. So if the markets have dumped, you'll see people that were hovering around 110% liquidation level, which is the riskiest level, right? Mm-hmm. We don't encourage anybody to be down that low, but we do understand there will be people that low.
At that point, I think most of those people are trying to make a short-term trade in the market. Yeah,
they might be trying to do a short-term trade or using it as a stop loss. So what ends up happening though, if the overall markets for Pulse dump, you'll see those wallets that are really close to liquidation actually get redeemed against. Okay, so when people are like, "Oh, look at the arbitrage opportunity," they buy up the value of the dollar, the USDL. They redeem it back into the protocol. Those get burned. An equal amount of the debt of the lowest collateralized vault also gets burned and disappeared. That wallet no longer carries that debt. And then their Pulse comes out of the vault, the same amount, the same dollar value of that Pulse. And what that actually does is it raises the collateral health, right? Maybe the lowest collateralized vault, maybe that guy had a $10,000 loan and $2,000 worth of his debt was redeemed against. And he was maybe right around 110% collateral. He was redeemed against, okay? And then now he's at 111% because he was redeemed against, or maybe 112%. Or maybe it completely paid his loan off and saved him completely from ever being liquidated. So redemptions, it does two things. A redemption pegs the value of the USDL right back to $1 very, very quickly. And there's always an incentive to do that because it's an opportunity, right? Wow, there's some 97 cent USDL, and I know I can get $1's worth of Pulse. Let me buy some of that real quick, right? So it pegs the price back to $1, and then the redemption itself actually improves the collateral health of the lowest collateralized vault and of the entire ecosystem as a whole. So that's just one thing that is improving the collateral health, and it's saving from liquidations. But you have the recovery mode. The recovery mode kicks in and it prevents people from further hindering the collateral level of the entire system. And literally everything about this protocol increases the health of everybody else. Everything it's doing is constantly increasing. The only thing that could hurt the health of you inside this protocol is if you yourself are a degen and decide to put yourself at 110% collateral level. That's the only thing that can hurt you.
You are your own worst enemy. That's basically it.
Yeah.
So the sacrifice phase, guys, it's live right now, and it's pretty much just like any other sac phase, right? It's Pretty simple, right? The same rate for the first 10 days. And then how long does it last?
30 days. So we're
30
1.5
days.
days in right now.
Okay.
There's
So
a flat period. The rate, is flat for the first 10 days. 10,000 points per sacrifice dollar, and then the rate decreases by 5%. Everybody's familiar with that. There's a bigger pays better bonus. So the bigger you come in, you can get all the way up to a 2.5x if you're the biggest wallet. There's one wallet in there now that he's got that 2 point. He's up there.
the leaderboard. Hold on. Let me see. Oh yeah, so hexpulse.info has got a nice leaderboard. That's another web. I can't keep track of all these websites, man. People are building so much cool stuff. This one is called hexpulse.io. And here we have, you see $5 million already donated. I guess if I refresh the page, that might change. Yeah, 5.2 mil. Highest guys have put up 1 million. Then we got one guy at 300, 200, a couple 100Ks. And the leaderboard's not, it's not crazy right now. Well, compared to, the PulseChain leaderboard where we had people put in multi-millions, but it's really cool to see people piling in. You can see right here, guys, very, very simple. Here's the USD sacrifice. I don't think you're ever going to get a green line on here, right? Because you don't accept HEX, right? Not sure why.
There was one single person. There's one single person who didn't follow directions, and they sent some HEX.
Damn it. Well, come on, guys. Don't sacrifice HEX. Do US dollars only. Hopefully you have some stable coin already so you don't have to sell. But hey, markets recover, right? Sacrifice volume timeline per blockchain network. Oh, so this is, ETH versus BSC. So right now we've actually got more sacked on the Binance Smart Chain. Really? Is that?
No, I don't know what that means. There's less over there.
Maybe that's a complicated stat that I'm not really understanding right now. Number of wallets per USD value. It looks like the majority of guys have kind of a bell curve between, $250 and $5,000. And then way at the tail end, you've got those $1 million guys. And yeah, this is just an interpretation of what we just talked about, guys. Look at this chart right here in front of your face. It's 10 days of same rate. And eventually, by the end of the month, 30 days later, it gets to a 3x worse rate. So actually, that's not even as bad as the PulseChain was. Because by the time you got to the end of PulseChain, it was like 10x worse rate, So this is only a 3x worse rate, meaning even if you feel like you're a little late, you're never really going to get that bad of a price, if it's only a 3x range.
Yeah. And you could even counterbalance that with just going with the longer pays better. You can get up to a 2.5x for a longer pays better.
That's something that we got to tell. So, you do have a lockup period or you do have an optional vesting period when you sacrifice for liquid loans, and you'll get a longer pays better bonus from that. So if you want to delay your gratification, and if you think that you'd rather have loan in the future when it's worth more versus loan now, I kind of would rather have loan now just so I can start earning the rewards. But there is a case to be made for maybe some now and some later, right? Because
especially if it appreciates in price. So let's just say it follows the price of Pulse, which is actually very likely, right? That it's going to kind of follow the price charts of what Pulse does. Because when people's Pulse go up in value, that means everyone's collateral health is getting better and better and better. So if somebody had 500% collateral, but then Pulse did a 10x and that guy's at 5,000% collateral, what's his next move? Well, probably to mint more stable coin, which means there's a fee, which the fees are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger for those stakers, which in turn trickles down to the price or the value of the loan token itself, right? So if Pulse goes up in value, loan token goes up in value. Pulse goes down in value, loan token goes down in value. That's just how it works because it's literally linked and tied. The protocol is backed by Pulse itself. Okay.
Yeah.
That being said, let's just say loan token did 100x, and you could have got a 2.5x multiplier by locking up for 2 years. You would be paying coffee if you came out on day one, but you wanted the same token quantity as somebody who put in the same economic energy as you, and they came out on month 24. You now are required to bring 250 times the economic energy to get the same token quantity that they have. 250x.
That's
right.
tough.
So if you believe things are going to appreciate in price, you really do need to consider delaying your gratification, because you may never be able to collect the quantity of tokens that you thought you might have wanted.
Right. Right, guys. And we got a question in chat. I don't know if this is a serious question. I hope it's, I don't know. Can I sack some TPLS? No. Sorry, D-Rock and Hex. That doesn't make any sense. Test Pulse on a different test network? No. The answer is no. I don't know if you're joking or not, but let's see. Up in price, I thought it was a stable. Oh, so we're talking about the loan token, right? This is a multi-chain system, right? If you haven't watched my previous interviews with Jesse or my previous video about liquid loans, or read the website or read the white paper, those are all great things to do. But this is a dual token system where you have a stable coin called USDL, which gets minted based on collateral. So it's always worth $1 worth of PLS. So it's an algorithmic decentralized stable coin. So there's no, bank like Coinbase that's backing it one for one. It's backed by the collateral of the users. The second token is loan token, the LOAN token. This just allows you to basically stake the token and earn a percentage of the revenue share of all the fees generated by the platform. And it's very minimal fees, right? These loans are actually 0% interest rate, which is unbelievable. The only fees you're paying is when you start the loan and when you redeem, right? So, or end the loan.
And those fees are going to your fellow community members.
Right.
Like, it's keeping all the money inside of our own ecosystem of hexicans and pulsicans and liquid loanians. Okay. It's keeping the money cool inside of our friends and family of the PulseChain community. Okay. Yeah. Instead of some central institution. I do want to give a shout out to AJ Ripcity Hex.
Yeah. Founder should be, see, here's something we don't talk about a lot. People that build stuff.
But here's why. Okay. If I go way back in some of these chats and some of these YouTubes and stuff, I think he's one of the ones that I wouldn't say gave us some grief, but he questioned the protocol, and he was doing what was right to protect the community.
Okay.
And I think just through hammering home the education on this protocol, it looks like he's warmed up to it. So it's nice to see some kind words from you. Thank you.
That's great, man. Yeah, people have this mentality, especially when the price is down, that like nobody should try to do anything new other than Richard Hart products, because it's always a scam and stuff. And that's because we've been burned so many times in the past. But really do your own research, right? You can get into the liquid loan sacrifice or not. Makes no difference to me at all. I'm not trying to sell you, although I do have a referral link in the description. But if people want to make cool stuff and it's good and it is safe and secure and it abides by all the rules that we've been taught by Richard Hart to abide by, decentralized, no admin keys, no governance. This is all really good stuff, right? And so the more you learn about liquid loans, the more you're like, oh, wait, this is really a necessary thing. I mean, if we're trying to replace all the products at a bank, HEX is the CD. Well, we also need loans, right? How do you decentralize loans? It's really hard to do. This is one of the only viable solutions I've seen. I mean, things like Celsius, they're centralized as fuck. And things like
this solves a couple of things. It solves the stablecoin challenge, and it solves the lending challenge. It lets people hodl their coins. You set your risk tolerance, and it keeps all the money inside of our own ecosystem. I mean, what more could you ask for? And it's completely trustless and immutable.
Yep. Can I ask you a question? As a founder or whatever, like, I know there's this vesting period, right? But let's talk about what are the terms of that vesting period. Basically, how long do you guys have to wait before you can dump on the users' heads? Just kidding. But like before you can sell at all, and I know you wouldn't probably be like no one's going to wreck their own project, right? But even if you have these suspicions, right, know that the founders are vested for longer than even the sacrificers, who can pretty much sell right away. So what are your vesting terms?
Well, there can't be expectations.
Oh,
and so here's what I can say. Any community vesting is way less than any other. Okay. That being said, the founders of this protocol have put a lot of their own money into this to bring this to what it is now. We believe in this protocol. We want it to, it will be successful. And we're hexicans, we're pulsicans ourselves. We believe in holding and never selling. We believe all the same things that we tell everyone else. I personally, if I hold any loan tokens, I'm not going to be dumping loan tokens. It is the golden goose for everybody, for you to become the bank, right? I'm not going to, me personally, break away from what I'm telling everybody to do. You might want to hold on to these things and never sell them. Imagine it's like a T-share. And you know how the T-share earns you, a residual HEX until your stake runs out. Imagine the loan token like a residual T-share that never expires, that earns you the fees from people never selling their pulse. It's a very, very similar mechanism,
Right.
and it never expires. Why would you sell that golden goose?
Right. Cool. So basically, guys, how confident are you that this price chart of loan will look different than the price chart of LQTY?
100%. 100%. Listen, there's no competition. We don't have 25 different lending protocols we're competing with. We have more than 10 times the user base. We're with a community of people that understand the value of holding and staking and delaying gratification. Brand new blockchain that starts at 0, that's likely to appreciate, not sideways and down ETH price. We don't have venture capitalists that just dump on our heads, that don't know anything about crypto.
Vulture capitalists.
For all those reasons and more, and the education that we're trying to provide the community, the constant daily videos trying to teach people how this thing works, you don't see that anywhere else in crypto. In fact, yes, we are going to be better. I have no doubt in my mind it's going to be significantly better. But
that's awesome to hear, man.
Find me another crypto that has its own YouTube channel that educates the community about crypto things in general, that tell you about DeFi protocols,
right,
that tell you about the broader markets, that teach you about liquid loans. We have our own YouTube, and it's only getting big. It's getting huge. It's getting so many views. Yeah. Thousands and thousands of subs. People are just piling in and clicking these videos.
Well, here's another cool
we're
stat.
Simply trying.
There's 7,000.
We're trying to educate the community.
Sorry, there's 7,000 members in the Liquid Loans Telegram, maybe 8,000 by now. And if you go over to the Liquidity Telegram,
8,200 maybe 8,200.
Well, congrats, that's amazing. Look at the Liquidity Telegram. I think they got like 400 people in there, and they've been out for over a year. It's like we're doing. I mean, this is all a community, right? This is how you build a community, and you guys are taking the right steps to build your own community. But it's obviously like an ecosystem with overlap in between Pulse, HEX, and everything else. It just plays together nicely. And so with this sense of community by our side, this is what a lot of products never got, right? Because maybe like the developers of Liquidity, maybe they were just more developer minded. Maybe they didn't have as much of a good thought process.
That's exactly what they are. They're really smart. Robert, the head developer over there, he's a really, really smart guy.
Right.
He's not necessarily an educator or a YouTube influencer.
Right.
And he's not a front end dev. So he's like, the website's just very bland and boring, but the underlying code, he is very smart, and the underlying code that he built is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. It's almost like the Steve Jobs and Wozniak. You need a Jobs and you need a Wozniak, right? You can't just have one. So you got to have people paying attention to the user experience, paying attention to how to get people to actually use this, how to build a community. Because, I mean, we could see on ETH, the tech is there. It's awesome. It's actually working very well. People are making, 20 to 40% APY in various pools, stability pool and loan token staking. And I've never heard about it until you brought it up to me. Like it just never came to my attention. You've got your Aves and your compounds, and they have their issues.
Yeah. You know what Aave does? Here's what you can do with Aave. It's ridiculous. You can be a lender or you could be a borrower. And if you're a lender, you deposit into a big pool. The return you get on it is like 1.5% a year. 1.5% a year. You see that in 60 seconds in crypto. Who cares about 1% in a single year? That's ridiculous. Okay. But then if you want to be a borrower who draws out of that pool, you're going to pay 18% or above in interest. Right? That's, for lack of better terms, retarded. Okay. That's absolutely ridiculous. Okay. Yeah. Nobody benefits. The guy who borrows certainly loses. The guy who lends, he also loses. It's stupid. Okay. And then you got guys like Mark Cuban who are pitching this like it's the best thing in the world. Okay.
It's maybe because they just understand, they just were pitched it and they just understand it, but they don't know what else is out there that's better.
Right. Now, with liquidity, if you stake the LQTY token, the average 209% all-time average from the beginning to now, right? So you have the early people who are actually much higher than that, and then later people that are kind of lower than that. But the average across the board is 209%.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's not going to stay that way forever, or maybe it will. If ETH goes up to $10,000 a coin, you can expect that that's going to go up.
Right.
But that's amazing because it just keeps all the money in the ecosystem right to the stakers. And then if you are a stability depositor, I think the rate is anywhere between like 20 and 30% return a year. You know,
Unreal.
That will go down though. That the stability pool, you're going to be diluted over time as more participants come in. And then the rate of emission of those loan tokens, that also gets halved every year. So you have to assume that the returns in the stability pool just go down over time.
Right.
How fast? I don't know.
Good point. Good point. Hey, we've got a question. I think you tried to answer this without beating around the bush too much, and it might be a no expectations of profit from the work of others thing. But just to put a pin in this, can you say anything about the percentage divvied to the founders?
So we can't say anything about where any of the percentages are going.
Okay.
Except we really like the way things are modeled on the distribution over on liquidity. We look at that a lot.
Okay. And there may or may not be an article.
But we don't like that there were we don't like that there were venture capitalists on that pie chart.
So so if I was to take a crazy guess here, I would envision a pie chart just like the one in that article on liquidity, without that big chunk to VCs, and instead replacing that chunk to sacrificers. But that's just a story I like to tell myself in my head to make me sleep at night. I'm not expecting that from anybody. I'm just saying.
You have a good imagination.
Thank you, sir. So yeah, if you guys if you haven't seen that article yet, check out my previous video. I literally just show the article on the screen. Or you can just Google, LQTY token allocation and find it yourself. It's not that hard. And remember, loan is a clone of liquidity. So do with that what you will. Hexacat says Teddy Cash. It's also on other chains too. Fluidity. Oh, okay. I guess it was good enough to get forked to all.
Yeah, these other forks, I think just looking at them, their teams are anonymous, by the way. But I think it's all the same team. And I don't think it's liquidity, but I think it's another group that just forked the code and just silently launched on all these chains and provided no education, no YouTube, nothing. And they have barely any users. People don't even know it's there.
Yeah.
So if you go to the Teddy Cash Telegram, you'll see 100 people in there.
That's sad.
There's weird things that happened with Teddy Cash too. It did an 86x in the first week in the price. And then it dumped down to 12x. And then people just didn't know how to use it. People weren't staking the loan token the way that. So the stakers, the people who did figure out what you're supposed to do with that token, you're supposed to go stake it. They were getting insane yields, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of percent, because they were the only stakers. Had there been some sort of education there, everybody could have shared some of those fees. But this is what we're trying to change. We know it's great code. We're simply educating people how it works because it's awesome.
Yeah, when you got something good, you want to yell about it really loud and tell the world about it. So, I mean, that's what a lot of crypto doesn't get right. And clearly you guys are doing it right since day one. You've got your own influencer, that Matt guy. I actually want to get on his channel because I want to talk to him. He's a good interviewer. So maybe I should just message him, or I think he messaged me. But yeah, I'd love to come on the Liquid Loans channel. I saw him interviewing rags to riches and everything. And he's just doing the rounds in the community too, which is what you have to do to build rapport with all the people, that you're going to be serving with this product, or that the code will be serving technically. And it's going to be great, guys. Already 30x the following in Telegram of what Liquidity has. We've got more articles, more content online. So if you search for Liquid Loans on YouTube, you're going to get so much more than any other product out there. Again, we're taking all the good stuff from Ethereum and we're making it better, and we're doing it better on PulseChain.
Yep. That's why PulseChain exists.
So we're at 40 minutes. I want to cut this a little short because I do have some stuff to do. But do you have any final thoughts and you want anything to say?
Yeah. So we've been pushing really hard with education. I do see a lot of people with questions. T.me/liquid loans. There's tons of admins in there. I go in there too. We answer questions. We show you videos. We show you the white paper. We explain how this thing works. So I invite you to go over there. And of course, we are in a sacrifice phase. We're a day and a half in. It is 30 days total length, but the rate does decrease. And remember what this does for the ecosystem, right? It keeps everything in-house. It eliminates counterparty risk. And it's trustless and immutable. And these are all the things that we're looking for. So if you believe in those things and you believe that PulseChain will do well, this might be something that you want to consider doing. And time is going to run out.
Yep. Oh, and it's been audited. Well, Liquidity was audited twice. Liquid Loans has its own audits coming out very soon with the minimal changes that were made are being audited. And what else? Governance free, 0% interest, guys.
0% interest. And imagine we're actually going to push hard with that narrative too. There's a lot of people around the world, billions of people, who are not allowed to use financial products that have interest.
Right.
Where are they going to flock to? They're going to flock to something just like liquid loans.
That's incredible. Yeah. So yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking the time to educate everybody again. And again, links in the description below. Actually read the white paper, guys. Like read it. And then read it again because you'll learn a lot about what we're talking about, why we're excited about it. And again, link in the description below. Sacrifice optional. I don't care. Do it or don't do it. But I'll talk to you guys on the next video. See you later.